Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the art of persuasion. We'll be breaking down the 7 hidden psychological triggers that, believe it or not, guide our decisions every single day, often without us even realizing it.
So let's start with a feeling I bet we've all had. You buy something, or you agree to do something, and literally a minute later you're hit with that question, wait, why did I do that? It felt so right in the moment, but when you think back, the logic just isn't there.
Well, it turns out it's not random at all. There's actually a science behind it, and it was decoded by the psychologist Robert Cialdini. He figured out that there are 7 universal weapons of influence, these incredibly powerful psychological principles that get us to say yes, and they often work completely under the radar. All right, first up, we've got reciprocity. This rule is it's baked into our DNA as a society. From when we're kids, we're taught you have to repay favors, you have to return gifts. Nobody wants to be seen as a freeloader, right? So this creates a really powerful sense of obligation.
And this is exactly why companies hand out free samples at the supermarket or toss a little gift in with your purchase. It's not just them being nice, it's a very smart move. By giving us something first, they're tapping right into our deep-seated need to return the favor, which makes us way more likely to buy from them.
Next up is liking. Now, this one seems almost too obvious, but its power is really in the details. We are just fundamentally more likely to agree with people that we know and that we like. It's not just about being friends, it's about feeling a connection.
This is why brands work so hard to be likable. They'll point out things you have in common, like shared values or where you're from. And they'll use attractive people in their ads to create what's called the halo effect, where we just subconsciously assume good-looking people are also smarter and kinder. It's all about creating that positive vibe.
The third trigger is our powerful internal drive to be consistent. Once we make a choice or take a stand on something, we feel this immense pressure to act in a way that matches that commitment. Because, let's face it, being seen as inconsistent or flaky is not a good look.
And this is the whole idea behind the foot-in-the-door technique. A salesperson might get you to agree to something tiny at first, like, say, signing a petition. Well, once you've made that little commitment, you are psychologically primed to say yes to a much bigger request down the line, like donating money, just to stay consistent with who you've shown yourself to be.
Now let's talk about social proof. This is basically the safety in numbers idea. When we're not sure what to do, what's our first instinct? We look around to see what everyone else is doing. We just assume that if a lot of people are doing something, it must be the right thing to do.
This is precisely why online stores are covered in labels like bestseller or show you how many thousands of people have already bought an item. They're proving it's popular, which makes us think, well, if everyone else likes it, it must be good. It's a mental shortcut that keeps us from having to think too hard.
The 5th trigger is authority. From the time we're little kids, we're taught that listening to authority figures is the right thing to do. So we tend to trust and follow the advice of people who seem like credible experts, people with titles, in uniforms, or with other symbols of status. And this was proven in the absolutely chilling Milgram experiment. In this study, normal people, just like you and me, were willing to give what they thought were painful electric shocks to someone else, all because a scientist in a lab coat told them to keep going. A shocking 65% of them went all the way to the highest voltage. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how deep our deference to authority really is.
Number 6 is scarcity. Things just seem more valuable to us when they're hard to get. This principle plays directly on our fear of missing out, or FOMO. The thought that we might lose the chance to get something makes us want it that much more. It's a huge motivator.
This is the engine behind every limited time offer or only 3 seats left banner you've ever seen online. By creating that sense of urgency, companies can bypass our rational brain and push us to buy right now because we get anxious that the opportunity is just going to disappear forever.
And finally, we have Cialdini's newest principle, unity. This one is all about shared identity. We are most easily influenced by people we see as being one of us. It's not even about liking someone. It's about seeing them as part of your tribe, whether that's your family, your country, your religion, you name it.
This graphic here, the IO scale, is a really cool way to visualize it. You see how the circles for self and others start to overlap? The more they overlap, the stronger that feeling of unity gets. And when we see someone as part of our us group, we just trust them more, and we're way more likely to say yes to what they ask.
So, we've gone through all 7 principles, but that brings up a really big question. Are people using these triggers on purpose, or is this all just sort of an intuitive thing? Well, let's take a look at a case study.
There was this fascinating study done at a sports clothing company that asked this exact question. Researchers went around and surveyed employees from sales and marketing all the way to product development to see if they were even aware of these formal principles of persuasion.
And the first thing they found was pretty mind-blowing. Almost 80% of the employees had never even heard of Robert Cialdini or his theories. So the actual science behind what they were doing every day was a complete mystery to them.
But here's the twist. Even though they didn't know the formal theories, nearly 70% of those same employees said that they actively and consciously use persuasion techniques at work. This suggests that a lot of these principles are just figured out intuitively, learned on the job instead of in a classroom.
And what's really interesting is that other research shows the power of these triggers can actually change as you get older. For folks in the 18 to 20 group, social proof is the #1 most powerful tool. But jump up to the 25 to 35 group, and suddenly commitment and consistency is what works best. It really shows how important it is to tailor your message.
So, we've seen that whether it's done on purpose or just by instinct, persuasion is a seriously powerful tool that shapes our world. And that, of course, leads us to a pretty important question. What about the ethics of all this?
You see, understanding these triggers isn't just about getting better at influencing people. It's also about becoming a smarter, more discerning consumer. Just being able to recognize when these techniques are being used on you is the first step to resisting manipulation and making choices that are truly your own.
This knowledge is kind of like a superpower. It gives you the ability to communicate more effectively, to build stronger connections. But it also gives you a shield, a way to defend yourself against unethical influence. So the question isn't just how other people are going to use these triggers, but how are you going to use this knowledge?